Let's talk about the Accra transport wahala and why more buses won't save Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, come with me. Let's have a meaningful conversation. There is a real issue we seem to ignore, or perhaps it has not been brought to the table. And this is what I am going to talk about. I hope this gets to the president, the transport ministry, the roads ministry, and other relevant authorities that have a mandate to solve the transportation crisis we face in our major cities here in Ghana. Now, for years, transportation within major cities in Ghana has become a serious issue, especially for the everyday 9 to 5 worker. You see, the issue is within the major cities in Ghana: Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, and other places. But today, I want us to focus on Accra. Typically, thousands, if not millions of Ghanaians wake up every morning and move from their homes to their workplaces. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be realistic here. You see, the number of people that moves out of their houses to work here in Accra, out of this number, only a small percentage own their personal car. Some are fortunate to be transported by company buses, and a few rely on lifts from friends and family. Ladies and gentlemen, the rest of the people, I mean the majority of the people, here it becomes a challenge for them. And this is what I call the survival of the fittest. Ladies and gentlemen, there is what I call the peak hour, especially when it rains. There are certain routes that I call the war zones. From my observation, I have found these places. I mean, it's not limited to these places. Those who are moving from La Paz to Kaswa, those who are moving from Atimota to Amasamai, those who are moving from Awoshi to La Paz, these ones especially in the mornings, those who are moving from Teshi to Circle, 37 to Madina to Dodowa, atomic areas, when you get to Atomic and Madina, when you are going to Boshe, Accra to Tema, and so many other places. You see, in this situation, you don't commute. Rather, you compete. Ladies and gentlemen, here in Accra, the problem with getting home has never been about distance. It's about strategy. You don't need to ask, how far is my house? Rather, you ask, how strong am I to stand in a long queue, to push others, or pass through the back window of the cars? Yes, you need to ask, do I have extra money for the mates who double the price, the lorry fare, when they see passengers in long queues, especially in the evenings? Ladies and gentlemen, you need to ask yourself, am I going to walk halfway, or I'm going to walk the whole journey to my destination because of the frustration, the challenge? At the end of the day, there's a lot going through your mind just because you want a car home. And sometimes a journey that should take 30 minutes can take you 2 to 4 hours. Not because of traffic alone, but because you can be in a queue for a very long time without getting a car. You can stand by the roadside for a very long time without getting a car. Sometimes you are even praying that nobody steals your belongings so that you get home safely. Now let's be honest. This problem did not start today, ladies and gentlemen. This is a long-standing issue that has survived multiple administrations. Different governments have come to power and has left. And this challenge has been there. So recently, when things got worse, especially around December 2025 into the early January 2026 this year, a lot of people cried out. Government responded by releasing emergency bus support on key routes. Yes, and the Metro Mass Transit Limited also came in by reducing intercity services to support intra or inner city movement. So they brought the buses that goes for long journey to come and support within the movement in Accra. For a moment, we thought finally the problem is solved, and this is something different that is going to curb the transportation crisis. But then, as I speak to you right now, we have gone back to the same situation. We are in the same transportation crisis today. And the government's intervention has been nothing but the same old style. Ladies and gentlemen, the government, as I talk to you, through the Ministry of Transport, has secured over 200 buses, which are part of a 300 bus plan that they have. And in fact, some of these buses have even arrived from Egypt. These buses are expected to run on major routes. And you know, this sounds quite good and it feels right, because we are using this as a strategy to curb the transportation crisis. But ladies and gentlemen, we are missing something. And if we keep on going on like that, a cycle, it looks like a cycle, then we have a problem, ladies and gentlemen. We've done this before and before, many times, bringing in new buses. And it has never solved the transportation crisis that we have in Ghana here. Why do we then go back, repeating the same thing? You see, let's go back a bit. There is what we call the Metro Mass Transit, which was introduced years ago. Yes, the one that you call Kufuor bus. It was introduced by the government, the then government. And then came another bus I call the anti-day bus. Yes, this is the anti-day bus. Then came Ayalolo bus. Then these newer fleets, including the recent electric bus. You see, all these buses seems promising and exciting. But the question is, what happened? What happened, ladies and gentlemen? The poor maintenance, the weak management systems, and the lack of long-term planning. And eventually, they either collapse or slowly fade into irrelevance. So I ask myself, why do we keep on importing buses to come and solve transportation crisis when that is not the solution? We know very well that won't solve the transportation crisis. So forgive me if I am not overly excited about the bus that has come, importing new buses. Because this issue is not a bus problem. This is a systematic problem that we must approach holistically. Now let me show you the real deal. You see, the whole thing is about how Accra, the capital city, is designed. And follow me. Look at this. Think about it. Almost everything important in Ghana here is concentrated in one area. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the government ministries. Concentrated in one area in Accra here. The corporate headquarters concentrated in one area. Major markets like the Makola, the Kanta, key hospitals, embassies, airports, even the seat of the government, and a lot. All are concentrated in Accra within certain angles. If you look at the map of Accra, you see that the major vital important things that people will need are all concentrated in one zone. Everything in one zone. But let's ask ourselves, where do people live? Because Accra is overcrowded. So people are living far away. People are living in Kaswa. People are living in Amasamai. People are living in Adenta, Dodowa, Medina. I mean, mention Spintex, Tema, and so many other places. But let's ask ourselves, why? Because that is where rent is affordable. And because a lot of these places are already overcrowded. There are no spaces. So then what happens? Every single day, thousands of people are forced to move from the outskirts into one central zone. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the major issue that we are looking at. Thousands of people move from their various homes from different angles, different places in Accra, from different towns to come to one central area for business. And they all use the roads. Yes, only the roads, ladies and gentlemen. They all use the same roads. In Accra, only a small percentage of households own their own cars. So the majority would depend on the Trotro and the taxi. Yes, there is the Uber and then Bolt. But how many people can order in a day in and out from their house to workplace and from workplace back to the house? And these systems are already stretched beyond capacity, ladies and gentlemen. I always ask myself whether it is the political will for development that we lack, or is it the yentie obia attitude by those in authority? Because I feel like they know the real problem, yet they are not willing to tackle it in a way that will be sustainable, solve the issue for a very long time. You look at other cities that have similar centralized systems and how they have managed transportation. Compare the situation to other countries, a city like New York, and even some cities in Africa like South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, and Ethiopia. Yes, they had a similar issue, but they solved it in a way. And here's how they did it. They built subways, they built trains, they built multiple transport layers, and they decentralized most of their government agencies, most of their market, the important arenas, they decentralized it. But in Accra, you only have one option. If you need something, you only have to move from wherever you find yourself to come to the centralized zone. Are you looking for the ministries? Are you looking for the CEO's office? Are you looking for everything? You have to move from wherever you find yourself to come to the centralized center. And this is why no matter how many buses you add, you are still pouring water into a leaking bucket because you are not solving the real problem. You are touching the surface and you have turned deaf ear to the real problem on the ground that you need to solve. Now imagine this. If we had functional real systems, like I have mentioned, that other countries with similar challenges, this is what they did. They built functional real systems. Ladies and gentlemen, train. They built high-speed trains connecting regions, cities, towns. They decentralized economic zones. Economic activity was not maintained in one center. They decentralized it. If that happens in Ghana, you can live in Kaswa, you can live in Cape Coast, you can even live in Kumasi and still work in Accra comfortably. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the real solution. This is what we must be looking at. We must be looking at our urban planning. We must be looking at real systems, train systems. We must be looking at decentralization of opportunities and economic activities. Why are all the people going to the same place every day? The route, the direction is clear. All the people from the different areas and angles are moving to one central point. That is where our focus is. How do we prevent this? Until we are able to look at this holistically, we will keep on bringing buses, thousands of them, and keep on having the same problem. Accra does not just have a transport problem. It has a design problem. No number of buses will save us. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is your boy Sikeja once again. Kindly subscribe to my channel and let us engage in the next meaningful conversation.